Hi, and welcome to the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce Quicktakes Legislative Live Video Series. My name is Matt Murphy, the Government Regional Affairs Director for the Chamber. And in this series, we're going to share quick visits with our local legislators. We want to know what's going on, what the hot topics are, and what in general is happening in Olympia. I want to thank the Tire Factory, Hayden Homes, and Great Northwest Transport for their support of this series as policy engagement partners. So today we are joined by Representative Stephanie Barnard from the 8th Legislative District. Hello and welcome, Representative Barnard.
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be with you today.
Absolutely. And I know that you're just lounging around in the office this morning sipping coffee. So I don't want your coffee to get cold, so we'll move on here as quickly as possible on the quick takes idea. But we have passed a major deadline this week. The first policy cutoff was Wednesday. The fiscal cutoff is on Monday the 9th. What is the vibe at Olympia? Are you guys feeling good? Are you worried? Obviously you're anxious for this thing just to get over with, but other than that.
Yeah. Well, first it's not coffee. I'll just correct you right there. I don't know what this is, but this is looks like Wonder Water. That's what I'm drinking. I'm hoping that it just, is a wonder.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day here in Olympia. The sky is blue. So that's a good thing. But that's pretty much, the only really good news that I have for you today. We've got, the cutoff was Wednesday for, policy. And I know fiscal cutoff is, you're right, coming up Monday. And it has been a whirlwind. And I do have a lot of bills this session. And, a lot of them died on Wednesday. So thing that makes me the most sad is that package of bills that Representative Connors and I put together on the less restrictive alternative homes. That's just with the Department of Corrections and DSHS, it has just been really, really difficult. We've done absolutely everything in our power to at least get a hearing on one of those bills, and it just was an absolute no-go, a total non-starter, which is to me, it's so sad. And I'm hearing things about constitutionality, and DSHS, responded to some of all of the bills and their concerns that they had with them and some of the things that they would like to change about those bills. And we said, well, that would have been great to get before cutoff. It would have been great to hear back from them what they needed from us in order to, but, so on one hand, they've been good to us, DSHS has, as far as getting back with our questions and concerns and trying to figure out the landscape and what opportunities we have. The good news, though, Matt, there is a little bright spot here, is that there was a hearing on one of the Senate bills. And I went to that hearing, and we had people from the Tri-Cities that testified there. We had even in person to come and testify. I mean, the one testifier that came all the way out from the Tri-Cities was only given 90 seconds to speak. It was just so frustrating that this is not being taken more seriously, and that they see these bills as an obstacle to housing sexually violent predators. And I think, what about the children in those neighborhoods? We're not thinking about them at all? Does that not matter? Are we, when do we take the community and the region and the neighborhoods and the homes even adjacent to that property into account? And it's so frustrating, but at least we have a little bit of light in that the governor's office, not the governor himself, but his representative in this space, his policy advisor, came to talk to us, the 8th Legislative Districts, which includes my seatmate, April Connors, and Senator Matt Binkie. We were able to meet with the governor's office and discuss this. And he brought up, not really any solutions, but at least they are willing to work with us on this. So I think there might be a small window of opportunity there. Also talking about what locally we can do, potentially at the county level and at the city level as well. So there's a few ideas that we are shuffling around and seeing if we can get any legs on some of those ideas. So we haven't given up just because those bills didn't get a hearing doesn't mean they're not good ideas. Maybe we can
Right.
stick them in another bill that's still alive. And at least I think what we're trying to do now is work with Senator Orwell, and I'll just put her name out there, who's been a huge advocate in this space and has made a lot of good changes to Washington law in regards to victims. So she might be a good advocate on the Senate side. And I just want to put that out there that if we're going to be sending out emails and requests, I think it would be a good idea to send some her way. I think if we can have the right demeanor and work with her in a really positive way, I think she might be a help to us. So there's that.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. It was unfortunate that, really these bills were introduced so late in the session that, the changes and modifications weren't available or wasn't really an option until the last minute. And so it's unfortunate, and hopefully things will, obviously it'll be reintroduced next year, and hopefully it'll be more of a concerted effort across the state to get these types of things fixed. So what about some of your nuclear bills on the energy side of things? Where are you at on those? Because you did, like you said, you had a number of bills, and not
Sure.
including the ones that you and Rep. Connors and Senator Benke and Senator Torres, put in on that other side. But what about some of your bills on the nuclear side and on the economic development side?
Sure. Okay. So I'll do nuclear first, and that is, that's my passion. We want advanced nuclear to build out that industry in Washington State, including not just an SMR, but a small modular reactor. But we also want to build out that supply chain. We want to take advantage of our heritage, our nuclear heritage in the Tri-Cities and the workforce and all the institutional knowledge that we have, as well as PNNL, and that national laboratory and the situation and setup we have in the Tri-Cities is just uniquely qualifies us to build out the nuclear industry in Washington. And I just don't want to miss that opportunity. What's happening now is we were going along great. We were at, breakneck speed. We had the support for 2090. That was the state advanced nuclear strategy that we were going to incorporate into the 2021 state clean energy strategy when it was updated. And we were utilizing that bill also to make a few changes in CETA. So it was a bill to create a state strategy around advanced nuclear, and pretty simple bill, pretty straightforward. I didn't want to water it down with other types of generation, clean generation, non-emitting generation. I didn't want to do that because then you get into this back and forth of, well, are we adding geothermal? And if we add geothermal, maybe we need to add renewable natural gas. And if we add that, then maybe. So I really didn't water it. I didn't want to water it down. So I kept it strictly to nuclear. And I knew because of the work of the Nuclear Energy Caucus and because of just so much work here at the Capitol on changing hearts and minds and educating and all these lunch and learns and tours that we've done. Just an immense amount of work has gone into educating. And I believe that most of the representatives and a lot of the senators, the majority of the senators were with us on this. What happened was a couple of days before the bill was going to get exec'd out, it's voted out of committee. It's really a better term or more easily relatable. This article came out in the Seattle Times and NPR that said, the Trump administration is easing regulations on nuclear energy. And the whole thing blew up in Olympia. It just went nuts. So I was getting emails from some of our most ardent Democrat supporters of advanced nuclear saying, I'm no longer supporting nuclear because Trump is making it unsafe and all these changes. And, I was shocked to hear that. And I have to say that my knee-jerk reaction was just to shoot back and say, hey, this legislation has to do with the I'm so sorry. My LA just came in and told me my next appointment's here, so I was sorry about that.
Okay, no, yeah.
But so I do have to go, but let me wrap this up by saying because of that incident, we lost massive support in nuclear because of that misinformation that went out on NPR. Because those new regulations, those easing of regulations is for the test reactors at Idaho National Laboratory in their DOME project that is used there for startup companies, incubators, accelerators that want to come in and say, hey, here we have this company, we have this SMR technology, we want to test it. And then you have to jump through all the hoops of regulations, the same as if you were a large reactor or, so what the Trump administration has done is just eased up on those test reactor regulations so that we can get those technologies tested a little bit faster. It's not putting anyone's safety in jeopardy. And the other thing is, it's not even the Trump administration. It came from the ADVANCE Act that was passed during the Biden administration. So those wheels were set in motion years ago. And so that has been so frustrating. That has just, Matt, I can't tell you how hard that is to take, one step forward that takes so long and then in one day take two steps back and then have that bill not pass because the entire, Democrat caucus is now questioning nuclear all over again. So it's just really hard to manage that. So I do have another nuclear bill that is my number one top priority for this session. That is 1210. I've heard that I didn't see it on a rules pull list yesterday, so it's still sitting in rules, but my leadership in my caucus has requested a leadership pull. That means that's one of our top priorities as well, to get out of rules. So I'm sure it'll come out, and hopefully by then I can get I can put out the fire just a little bit on nuclear, reach out to some of the stronger advocates on the other side of the aisle, and hopefully we can get that passed through the House so that it can head to the Senate. And then advocates for TUA, the Targeted Urban Area Tax Exemption Extension, will have to work their magic in the Senate. I will still continue to work this bill until it's passed. And that's, again, my number one priority. We have to get this industry going and supported in the Tri-Cities. It'll be the backbone of our economy eventually. Besides ag, I'm not saying ag is definitely our number one, the largest opportunity in the Tri-Cities, but I think close behind is going to be the nuclear industry if we can build that out. So
you're absolutely right. So, all right, then I'm going to let you go because you've given us so much to think about, and I really appreciate your time. And I appreciate all the hard work that you do. And honestly, I can't wait for you to get back here to the Tri-Cities. Maybe you'll sleep a little bit better at night too.
Can you tell? I haven't been sleeping.
No, I just know that if I were in your shoes, I would be like, that's probably, maybe I have been. That's why my hair is like this. And I don't want you to come home like this. So,
I don't want to either, but hey, you look great.
Thank you.
Right. Just remember, I still have two really, really good economic development bills. We've got the Match Act and the Quantum Bill, which are critically important for Washington State. So just keep an eye on those ones. And if you need any more information, you can go to my website, and sign up for my my weekly newsletters, and that way you can stay more closely informed as far as what's going on my day to day.
All right, I appreciate it.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks so much, Matt. Take care.
Thanks, Barnard. You
All
have a
right,
great day.
see you later. Thank you
All right,
so
bye-bye.
much.